I could have predicted it.
They have new tips for you there.
I don't need anything extra. Like at all. It took me a minute to do it.
I'm having so much fun, I can't stand it.
Yeah. Let me see that. You are. All right. Do you have your microphones on? Do you have your microphones on?
Thanks, Travis.
Good evening. Welcome to the March 7th, 2023 Carteret County Board of Education meeting. I'd like to start out the meeting by asking Mr. Prue to come forward and introduce two of his 8th grade students who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you don't mind standing afterwards, Ms. Dana Mull will lead us in our invocation.
Excellent, thank you. Oops, excuse me. Thank you, Chair Wheatley and members of the board for having us here this evening. It's an honor to bring two of Newport Middle School's finest students here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. First, I'd like to introduce Haley Klott. Haley is an 8th grade student. She is our student council president. She's a member of the National Junior Honor Society, a cheerleader. She's in the drama club, the announcers club, and a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And second, Briar Carroll, who is a 7th grader. Briar is a student council vice president, a member of the National Junior Honor Society, a member of the wrestling team, the soccer team, the track team, the baseball team, and also a member of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you guys will actually come forward, we have some certificates for you. You got one over there? Perfect, thanks.
We have a small group.
All right, we like pictures.
I like the middle schoolers. They're taller than us.
Just like a young thing. I'd have to stand there, wouldn't they?
Big smile. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Wait, Mom and Dad.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good job, guys.
Back here. In the picture.
Remain standing. Sorry. Dana?
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us here together safely. Please bless our thoughts, our words, our ideas, and our decisions to do your work. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I think I grabbed your chair to sit down. Next up, I'd like to ask Angelica Steffi to come forward. Is she here tonight? No?
Nope.
Angelica is a Croatan High School student athlete, state champion in women's wrestling, and we wanted to congratulate her tonight, but we'll make sure that she gets her certificate. That is really impressive. Next up, we have our Croatan High School student athlete, state champions in indoor track, 4x800. James Wallace, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Luke Nicolason, Trey Austin, and Matthew Quispy. An indoor track 4x400, Braden Stevens, Cooper Stevens, Luke once again, and Matthew Quispy. Luke, how do we say your name? These are your state champion indoor track. Okay, 4x400, let's see.
We have some certificates for you, so just hang tight.
I'll let you help me pass these. Awesome. Awesome. Got a lot of them. Matthew. Yay. Congratulations, guys. I couldn't run around the block, so. I'm really impressed.
Congratulations.
None of us good right now.
How do you say your last name?
Nicolason.
Okay.
Oh, you did good.
Too terribly far
AJ
off.
sounds like
Matthew?
I.
Okay. I'm worried about that literally for the last 30 minutes. How am I gonna pronounce it?
None of us offered to help you.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely. Get a picture of him, and then we'll get you guys in there as well.
Here, I'm gonna get back here. You get over here. You deserve to be there, not me.
To
You're a lot
get in
taller.
between.
Go ahead.
Jennifer's trying to find us.
All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good job, guys. Excellent.
Nice job.
Nice job.
Yes.
Congratulations.
On the floor.
Coach.
You better laugh. Because I'm headed there real quick.
Okay, and one last state championship recognition is Croatan High School student athletes in men's swimming. And we have Mache Roth, Nathan McAlowitz, Paul Pageant, and Ryan Simsick. Croatan's gonna need a bigger cabinet for all of it.
Excellent problem to have.
Yeah, okay, Ryan, congratulations.
You know the date.
Really? Okay. And Nathan? He's not.
he's not here.
Okay. Okay. All right. Your picture?
Nope. Stay, get in the picture.
Stay there? Okay.
Smile. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Okay, up next is item 2.1, consider approval of meeting agenda. Do you?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Goodwin and a second by Ms. Mull. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Okay, and next up is public comment. It is now time for public comment. Anyone present tonight wishing to make a comment should have filled out a request to speak public comment form. To ensure civility, relevance, and time management, there are specific requirements for public comment set forth in school board policy. They include, comments are limited to matters pertaining to public education. The speaker shall state his or her name at the beginning of his or her comment. Speaking time will be limited to 3 minutes per person. A 3-minute timer will appear on the TV screens in the bottom corner. The timer will beep when there are 30 seconds remaining. It will then beep a final time when your time is up. For civility and decorum, no speaker shall make obscene remarks or issue personal attacks or insults. No complaint against a school employee or student will be permitted, although this may be heard in closed session at a later date following consultation with the superintendent. Much information about individual students, including a speaker's own child, is confidential under state and federal law, and we discourage and often prohibit such information in open session. The chairperson may immediately terminate any comments that violate these rules. Board members will not respond to questions except occasionally to request a clarification. With that introduction, our first speaker tonight is Mr. Eugene Thompson.
Good evening, Carteret County Board of Education. My name is Eugene Thompson, and I have 3 students enrolled in Carteret County Public Schools. I'm here this evening to speak about the forgotten students of Marine and Science Technologies Early College High School, or MAST. The 2022-2023 school year is slightly more than 2/3 completed, with 4 grading periods completed. My daughters have received 1 of 4 report cards this year. This was received only after asking Ms. McClenny following a Board of Education meeting. And this was for the second quarter, second 6 weeks, and it was closer to the end of the third 6 weeks. My wife has kept every report card since the girls began their educational endeavors. And yes, we are aware their grades are available through Power School. 6 days ago, at Carteret K-12 posted on Instagram that caps and gowns are arriving for our seniors and that traditional high school graduation is June 9th at each high school. There was no mention of Marine Science and Technology's early college high school graduation being held on May 25th. Math students recently received an email concerning their yearbooks. It said that if no student stepped up to work on and complete this endeavor, there may be no yearbook. A message sent today states that Ms. Days is in full production mode and getting it ready for submission, despite the fact she no longer teaches at Mass. Kudos to her for stepping up and doing this. The Mass caps and gowns have arrived, but the students will not receive them until the day of their graduation. Is this a Carteret County Public Schools practice? Their announcements and such are grouped with their caps and gowns, and it makes no sense to hold them until graduation, for the students need to send them out before the fact and not after the fact. Mass students have family and friends throughout the county, state, country, and planet who they want to notify of their impending graduation. Communication from Mass is few and far between. I've seen numerous posts from at West Carteret High School concerning scholarship opportunities, but nothing from the @Mass_updates. I've spoken to my daughters about keeping their heads up and enjoying their early college high school experience and not feeling as though the Carteret County Public Schools Board of Education Administration do not care about them. However, it's hard to maintain this type of conversation with them when they began fighting to keep their school open in 2019 and continued to fight until the closure decision was officially made in 2022, and when their school is treated differently than the big three. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Next up is item 4.1. Consider approval of Board of Education meeting minutes of February 7th, 2023. Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Ms. Chadwick,
I'll second.
a second by Ms. Statler. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Next up is Mr. Probst with policy revisions of first read.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
on
sir.
consent agenda,
The whole consent agenda.
I'll go. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
Mr. Probst.
Good evening. You obviously were too excited to get to the policy.
Always.
But all
It
right.
was.
It's the highlight of my day.
I like the enthusiasm. All right, before you are the policies for first read. These two policies actually come from older School Board Association update packets. We just didn't get to one of them because we'd never actually approved that policy before. And then the other one was just a situation where it required some review from the technology department before we can put it forward. So I'll just briefly talk about the two policies. 3220 is Technology and Education Program. This policy you have adopted before, and the edits align it with the 2022 North Carolina Digital Learning Plan at the state level, as well as other current technology policies. It also has some legal references and some resources within it, so there's not a whole lot to tell you about that one. The second one is a policy that we are finding that we needed to adopt because we're seeing more and more of these crowdfunding usages by our employees, and so it's a crowdfunding on behalf of the school system. So essentially it is to guide our staff in what is appropriate for crowdfunding. A lot of this is the donors choose, the GoFundMe. What we want to do is we make sure that we have an appropriate process for it to be approved so that it will fall in line with any legal precedent, as well as our financial protocols for accepting funds. And so that's why we're adopting that policy. And so that does come from the School Board Association.
I have a question. So
Yes.
is that like when our schools have fundraisers, they have to submit, do individual teachers have to do the same, or they
Yes.
just have a policy to follow?
So this policy would put in practice, and I think we're going to actually send out a guideline to our employees I think Mike and Ms. Carswell are working on an actual guideline to provide them a form in order for them to go through that process, so that we make sure that we know about it, because there are times that we don't know about it until after the fact, just to make sure that we know about it and make sure that we're receiving the funds in the proper manner.
Thank you.
All right, any questions?
But the principals are going to review it.
Yes, yes. So if you look in the policy, it depends on the amount, exactly. So it'll go through that process. If it gets to a certain threshold, it'll go to the principal. The principal will always review it, but if it goes to a certain threshold, then it will come up to Mr. Paler, and if it goes beyond that, then it will come to the board as well. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, Ms. Carswell.
Good evening. I'd like to present the budget revision number 4 for the 2022-2023 school year. The first portion of this budget revision is the state revision. The first item in the state is allocating $15,000 for stop arm cameras for the transportation department. The second item is with the bus transportation, at the beginning of the year, we only received 75% of the allotment. And then usually December, January, after the efficiency rating comes out, then we receive the remaining portion of our allotment. So this is to appropriate the second allotment for transportation. That's a total budget revision for the state of $537,688. The next is the local revenue. The county approved, last month was presented a $500 contingency, and we presented that to the county commissioners, and they approved that. So this is the journal entry to reduce fund balance appropriated and to appropriate the county's $500,000. The next is the federal budget, and this is rather lengthy, so I kind of go through it pretty quickly. The first portion is the CTE, and it's appropriation additional funds. When we allot the federal budgets and appropriate it at the beginning of the year with the budget resolution, that is based on a planning allotment. After the planning allotment, usually around December, then we receive the initial allotment. So that's what a lot of these entries are, is adjusting for what the planning allotment was to what the actual allotment was. The second is homeless grant, and this is appropriating the funds that had not been appropriated previously. The next is our pre-K allotment. The final allotment was greater than the planning allotment. And the next is our federal EC IDA 6B, and this is appropriating the carryover funds from 21-22. That should be 22-23. So the next one is our English language acquisition, and this is appropriating the funds we received. The next is our student support, and this is the final allotment was greater than the planning allotment. And the next one is the LEP, and this is just to appropriate the funds that we received for this grant. The next is EC Risk Pool, and this is grants that we have to apply for our EC program. And we had not previously appropriated this yet. The next item is the EC IDA again, and this is appropriating the funds we received. The next is the IDEA pre-K, and it's appropriating, again, the funds that we received. The next item is the ESSERS, and it's appropriating additional funds we received for ESSERS 2. And the next is ESSERS 3, and this is appropriating the carryover funds for ESSERS 3. The next is the homeless, and a homeless grant we received, and it is appropriating the funds for an administrative assistant for that department. The next is IDEA again. This is ESSERS funding, and it is to amend the budget to transfer funds to contract services instead of personnel. And the next is IDEA preschool, and this is to amend the budget to transfer funds to contract services, again, instead of personnel. And then extended day, this is to amend the budget to transfer the funds to supplies instead of workshop expense and membership and dues. And finally, the last one is to appropriate the funds for the principal retention supplement. The legislators this past year changed the way that the bonus was calculated. And in order to prevent some of the principals from going back in pay, they allotted the funds in the federal PRC 206 so that those principals did not go back in pay. And so it's a total budget revision of $2,586,951.09. You have any questions?
Any questions?
No.
I will
Thank you, Ms.
thank you
Carswell.
to approve this.
No, we have to.
I will propose we approve the budget amendment as presented.
We have a motion from Ms. Statler. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Mr. Day. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Next, we have Ms. McClenny with our strategic plan update.
Good evening, Board. In November, we came to you and updated you on the 22-23 strategic plan. If you remember, that was the one-year strategic plan placeholder that would allow us this year to work through the strategic planning process. And we updated that time on Goal 1, which was limitless learners. That's where we talked all about the data and the proficiency and the growth. Tonight, we're going to talk briefly about the next three areas: our empowered educators, engaging environments, and connected communities. Now, if I were to talk through each goal, we would be here a very, very long time. So we're just going to highlight one or two areas that may be different than some of the things that you've heard in the past to keep you updated on what is happening. So for empowered educators, the two objectives were to strengthen instructional support frameworks to foster collaboration and effective teaching practices, and increase opportunities for educator engagement and relevant professional development opportunities that will impact student outcomes. So every 2 years, every school district in the state of North Carolina participates in the Teaching Working Conditions Survey. And the number one area that our teachers identified that we needed to improve on were the offerings of professional development, both from a system standpoint and then that they would have choice in it as individuals. So we've done a lot of work on that, but I do want to spotlight our instructional coaching that we've offered starting this year. We were able to utilize some of our ESSER funding to put 6 instructional coaches in our buildings. Those were our teachers who were already in the classroom that took a chance and said, we believe in this, we want to do this, to support our teachers as we come post-COVID with instruction. We have 6 coaches throughout elementary and middle school, and we were very intentional in how we approached this program with our teachers. Number one, our teachers don't need fixing. We have the best professionals in the state that work in our district. And we wanted to make sure that the coaching model wasn't us coming and saying you're doing something wrong, But in essence, that teacher chooses what it is they want to work on based on the themes of their school or what they need help in their classroom. And so a coach meets with a teacher and says, what do you want to work on? And then they go through the student-centered coaching process where they plan together, they identify the research-based strategies that we've been learning through professional development, and that coach stays with that teacher through that entire process, from pre-test to post-test. I will tell you, in my 22 years, I'll say that's awfully, the feedback that we have received from teachers saying, this is the support we have needed. And it's not just beginning teachers. We have 30-year teachers who are saying, yes, this is what collaboration looks like. The other part that I think is important to know just how much our teachers have latched on to this idea of instructional coaching is a coaching cycle is about 3 weeks worth of work. That coach isn't in their room every day, but they are planning for about 3 weeks from beginning to end. These 6 coaches today have completed 100 coaching cycles through all elementary and middle schools, which is fantastic. The other thing, I'm a data person, so I like numbers. I need to know what we're doing is working. And so we have put in place the results-based coaching tool, which has a very scientific way that we measure the impact of what is happening in that classroom. And so the impact range across kindergarten through 8th grade where they have worked has been a range of 0.8 to 2.0. Now, that may not mean much to some. However, the effect size in that says that if you have an effect size of 0.4, that student has made the expected year progress you would expect on that standard. So to have ranges that are upwards of 2.0 means that incredible teaching is happening in classrooms, and so we're super proud of our coaches. And just a couple of pictures as you can see how it looks. You have a coach and you have a teacher. The students really don't know which one's which other than it's been the teacher that's been in my room all the time. They are working side by side, so we're super proud of that work that's happened there.
Jody, real quick, how is that impact range measured? Is that from testing?
It's from pre and post testing. So whatever the standard is, they'll pre-test it, see where students are, and then they'll post-test and look at that through that. It's based off John Hattie's work with effect size, so we use that for all those areas with that. Just wanted to point out the focus just this year. We've really had a lot of PD on accelerated learning strategies. That's been a K-12 effort as well. We've had content grade level specific standards. We know behavior support and mental health support through PD. Obviously, our pre-K-5 teachers are engaged in letters, but we've also really utilized C&I staff as well as our coaches and our administrators in buildings to really get in PLCs and begin to dive into what the data says for our students and how we respond to that through a student-centered approach. The last thing I wanted to mention that we're super thankful for is the state funded a position for an early literacy specialist. And we were able to get that person on board with us in January. And so she spends a day in a school that is identified each day and then goes around to meet needs with that. And so she approaches it from the coaching standpoint as well. Focus Area 3 deals with engaging environments. This is all about safe and secure schools, implementing research-based practices and procedures, and increasing our student cohort graduation rate. Obviously, for safe and supportive school, the school resource officers in every school is so important, and we are so very thankful to have that as we are out in schools and seeing the relationships not only that they have with our students, but the safety that it provides. In addition, the safety measures through the bond with the walls, cameras, doors. But we've also put a concerted effort to update our threat assessments at the school level, and we have taken on a system-wide retraining of those procedures, protocols, to make sure all administrators, all student support are aware of that, and that we follow those to be certain that we can get the right supports in place for students. And in addition, we recognize the need for behavior support and have utilized some funding through our ESSER grant to get those much-needed supports in schools. Did want to talk about graduation rate. One of the areas that we know is important is that we are allowing our students to start thinking about future much earlier. And so sometimes just waiting until you're a senior and thinking about your future is not going to necessarily help you. But we believe if we can engage students in future thinking and future planning earlier, we can engage them and keep them connected to schools. And so we've purchased an online platform called Major Clarity, where every student in grades 6 through 12 has access to that. It has a learning styles assessment, it has a personality assessment, and they actually start their career planning in 6th grade. Now, we're not saying whatever you write on that form in 6th grade is what you're going to be, but we're making sure they have the opportunity to explore in this platform. This platform also allows for them very quickly to see their academic class planning, so they'll see all the classes that they've taken, and when we see that career plan, it allows our counselors and even administrators to be able to have conversations and make sure we get kids in the right class that's part of their future as well. In addition, they can look for scholarships, they can apply to college, we can list all the work-based learning opportunities in our area for them, and our goal is that by the time in 3 years, by the time every kid leaves Carteret County Schools, they'll have a micro-credential and work-based soft skills. We've heard from our business community and our employers that they need students to have those skills, and so we want to make sure we're providing that. Major Clarity is a wonderful platform that students can engage in, and we're excited to use that and leverage that so that we're more intentional with students as we help them plan for their future.
Jody,
Yes, sir.
graduation rate. That rate is computed, is it from when they begin 9th grade, 12th grade?
It's a
I'm just
5-year, right?
Right, there's a 4-year and a 5-year.
And a 4-year and a 5-year. So I think it's that cohort of students when they go in, if they graduate within that time frame.
Just curious.
The fourth area I wanted to quickly touch on were connected communities. And the focus of this for us is to maximize collaboration with all of our stakeholders to expand learning opportunities for students, to make sure we have frequent and ongoing communication, and then to foster partnerships with local businesses to strengthen community and build a sustainable workforce. So I wanted to talk real quick about our Career and College Promise. Back in January, we took all of our counselors, middle school and high school, to the college, and the college hosted us for 2 days to really go through CCP, Career and College Promise, what it meant, the pathways, all of that data, to calibrate that we all understood so that we were communicating the same thing. I did want to point out our enrollment increases from fall of 21 to fall of 22. We had a 40% increase in the number of students that took a class through CCP, and in the spring we had a 35% increase. So we are seeing more students that have that available, and we're going to continue to make sure we're intentional in those opportunities for students as well. And I wanted to talk briefly about a brand new initiative that was launched yesterday. Some of you heard a little bit about it yesterday. But we know from a state level, and honestly from anyone who's been in education, that not every kid's going to a 4-year university, nor should they. We know that every student, though, needs to have a plan when they leave us. And whether that is to enroll in college, to enlist in the military, or to go straight to employment. And the purpose of CAPE, which stands for Careers and Partnerships in Education, is to really allow us to have a partnership with a business. And then the purpose of that is that we will expose kids to what's available in our county, get them hooked in their passion, and then hopefully, when they leave us after they graduate, they can go and find their career here. I wanted to talk for a bit about the process. So we started this with our interns with the facilities and operations. And then at a business advisory meeting, we were sharing this with them, and the hospital came up to us and said, "We're next, we want in." And so a team of us went and sat down with the hospital. They talked about what they needed. Our people talked about what we had to offer. And then the conversation started. And they said, we could use at least 15 people, and we need them in all the areas. Well, we narrowed down to 5. And then they began to talk about what they needed in a student. And the beautiful part of this conversation was our CDC, our career development counselors and coordinators, were talking back and forth about how we support that. The other part of the process is we did an interest inventory that went out just yesterday, and we already have, I believe, over 25 kids in less than 24 hours that say, yes, we want to be a part of this. The hospital shares the job descriptions. We'll get more information out to students through small groups at each high school. And then the hospital personnel will be with us as we begin interviewing and talking with students. These will be paid interns. They will start this summer. They will get a college credit. And we are excited about it. And the hospital could have done more, but we said, let's start with 15. And so I'm going to show you this video about CAPE in just a second. And we're going to continue to promote this because we want other businesses to come on board. That way we can make sure that as a school system, we're supporting the needs of the community.
What age kids?
It is rising juniors, and next year there'll be juniors and seniors. So it's current sophomores and juniors. The hospital's asking minimum 16 years of age with that as well. So we'll work with each business to see how we can support that.
Did you know you can do an internship and earn a high school credit? My name is Allie and I'm a senior at Carteret County Public Schools. I'm in my second semester as a Carteret healthcare intern because I have loved training and working as a CNA. In March before I graduate, I will become a certified nursing assistant and hope to continue working at Carteret Healthcare as a paid employee.
The partnership with Carteret County Schools and Carteret Healthcare is going to be a huge asset to this community, keeping all the students in this area to be able to come work in the community they've grown up in and continue to serve the community and the patients throughout this facility. We'd love to see students in every area of the hospital, specifically from a clinical standpoint, whether they're directly accessing patient care or from facility services, IT, food services, environmental services, housekeeping, all across the board. It's a large facility here, and we have many opportunities outside of just direct patient care.
I challenge you to take advantage of this opportunity, find your future at the Cape.
So we're excited for this launch and even more excited about the future that we can have with that, and hopefully can encourage our students to look right here at home after they graduate and come back and give back to the community through that.
Is there class requirements to apply for the hospital? Like, do they have to have an allied health science class or a foods class if they go to the food?
So we have 5 areas at the hospital, and each one may have something different with that.
Okay.
So the CNAs, they're looking at the CNA piece of that. For maintenance, SAMOSHA credentials, so they're working through each of those pieces with it. And we can be very specific with whatever the employer needs and whatever we're able to offer to really personalize it for their needs with that.
So with the application, do they like check a box for which one that they would choose? Okay.
And the hospital also is offering a summer part program to work, but they're also offering in the fall. So the student may say, I want to do it in the summer, or I want both. And so we're going to work through it that way. So where are we at now with the strategic planning process? Because we know we're working on a plan for the next 5 years. And just really to give you an update, we did all the activities with the feeder patterns and the business and teachers and principals. And these are some of the words that came out of the over 800 cards that we read and started to sort those words in there. And you see things like collaboration, workforce, accountability, career. And when we sorted all of those things, we really found 3 areas that defined what people were looking for. They were looking for engaging students, whether it's in academic, whether it's in career development, whether it's in athletics. They wanted students engaged in the schooling experience. Obviously, they want us to continue to educate to the best that we have and will continue to do. And I love this word, empower students. They want us to be able to empower their students so that they have a choice-filled future when they live us, whether it is college, employment, or enlistment in the military. And so our vision that came out of that work was to engage, educate, and empower all learners from Cedar Island to Cedar Point. And interesting enough, the mission is to engage, educate, and empower all stakeholders, meaning it's just not students, it's families, it's business, it's all of us together in those same 4 areas of limitless learners, empowered educators, engaged environments, and connected communities. Because if any of those 4 things is missing, we're not doing our job to the best of our abilities. But when all 4 of those things are moving in the same direction, the sky's the limit for kids, and that's what we want. So next steps for us is that we will present to you, probably in May, a draft plan for the 5-year strategic plan. And then this summer, we will begin to unfold that strategic plan, mission, vision to our community, and roll that out to stakeholders, because the last thing we want the strategic plan to be is another piece of paper that doesn't really drive us to be even greater than we already are, but a plan that helps make sure that we hold ourselves accountable as we begin to serve at even greater depths for our students. So that is all I have. If you have any questions?
Awesome.
Fantastic.
I will say, I'm really excited about the major clarity. I know you didn't get to really dive into it, but I have a 6th grader, and he came home. At first, I wasn't really sure what he was talking about when he came home. He was all excited. He took this test, and he's like, Mom, it says I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and so-and-so is going to be a farmer, and so-and-so, his friends, and they were excited because they really felt that it matched them at this point, and so I thought that was really, really neat.
And we'll revisit that every year, so as they change, it may not change, but it also can be specific to our area, so, I may want to be something, but if it's not in this area, it's good to know that. Maybe I want to stay in this area, so what opportunities do I have in eastern North Carolina and Carteret County that I can pursue? So we are super excited about how it will allow us to be very intentional with not only students planning their courses, but what courses we offer in terms of electives. We can really tailor it to the needs of the business community and our interest of our kids.
I think just like you have a sixth grader and he came home and was excited about whatever they had talked about, and then they're exposing them to different career paths already, and he came home with like the CPR mask, and he said, I'm going to save this, but I'm not working in healthcare. And I was like, that's fine.
It's good to,
But he already knows.
Great,
Yeah, he's in sixth grade, and he's like, not that, so.
Or as you get older, not taking classes that may not pertain to something you're going to do later or interest you.
So we're excited.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. All right, next up is capital projects and bond update from Mr. Paler.
All right, thank you. So there are no capital projects to report on, but I was going to go through the bond projects from the beginning on what's complete, what's in progress, and where we're going from here. Okay, here we go. So the completed projects at this point, so we have replaced the interior doors at Atlantic Elementary School, at Harkers Island Elementary School, and West Carteret High School to the doors that are ADA compliant doors. We've replaced the intercom system at all of our campuses with VoIP intercoms. At Newport Elementary School, we were able to complete 2 roofing projects there, one on the cafeteria, one on the primary building. And also at Newport Elementary School was the first school where we completed the security wall to enclose that campus. So there's a wall in the front and wall in the back, pictures on the bottom there of those walls. So Newport Elementary School, we've heard about for years, about it being not secure because there's like 8 buildings there. And so now that campus is finally enclosed, so we're proud of that. In progress is Croatan High School, and I'm going to click this as a time-lapse video from the beginning of that project. And you can't really see the building up at first. It's mostly in the ground and rebar, and all of a sudden there's a building you'll see. There it was. But there, they've actually completed the roof now. The roof panels, the metal roof panels are on. They have to box in the eaves. On the inside, the ceiling grid is mostly in. They're painting. So that project is coming along nicely and will be completed this summer ready for use next school year. Also in progress is the Carteret Preschool Center addition. So that project is actually moving along nicely, and it's on schedule to finish probably in May. So it'll definitely be ready by next school year. The security walls, so there's 5 more security wall projects besides Newport Elementary at East Carteret, Beaufort Middle, and Smyrna and Down East Middle. Those are pictured there. You see the foundations are in. We actually, there's a delay on brick. The contractor was promised that he was going to get the next shipment of bricks, but so we're working through that now. There's 2 Moorhead schools that will have projects, also Moorhead Middle School and Moorhead Elementary School. The contractor grouped those together, and they don't want to start, we can't start the Moorhead Elementary School while kids are in session because it deals with the front entrance. So that's going to start in early June and will be finished over the summer before kids come back in August.
Does that go across, is that where that fence is now,
At Moorhead L?
Yes.
So the project there in the back of the school, the building is kind of U-shaped. It's across the back. And at the front where there are, it's either 4 or 5 classrooms on the front that have outside access, that there will be a wall that comes from the front door all the way to the end and across the end, and there'll be double doors there to get out to the playground, but it will secure those outside classrooms. Also, we have a district-wide door access control project. So here, the first phase of that is going to be at the front doors where we have the video access. It's replacing all those systems at the front door with better systems, better cameras. And also, the phase 2 of that is going to be every exterior door on every school will have a monitor. So we will know if the door is propped open or it's ajar, so we can monitor every door. And lastly, there's a paving project at Beaufort, Broad Creek Middle, Moorhead Primary, and Moorhead Elementary. That bid has been awarded, and that work will start any day, hopefully within a week. And we know if you've been on Highway 24 in the mornings or afternoons, you know that that's much needed to get those cars off of Highway 24 for Broad Creek. And lastly, tomorrow, actually, we're accepting the bid for the Broad Creek Classroom Edition. We're hoping that that comes in with good numbers so we can proceed with that project. Any questions about the bond projects? All right, thank you.
You're up again.
All right. Good evening. It is National School Social Workers Appreciation Week, and I would like to extend gratitude for all the work that our social workers do out in the system, that they fulfill a very important role, and we're grateful for them. It is also National School Breakfast Week. Monday, we had the opportunity to address the county commissioners at their annual budget seminar. We outlined our projected budget needs and updated them on the current status of their bond projects. I'd also like to thank all the dignitaries and various volunteers who came out to celebrate Read Across America Day with us last week. We're thankful for all of them for reading to the students and engaging the importance of reading as a lifelong habit. I'd also like to thank Ms. McClenny and Ms. Johnson for their work on the strategic plan. I know that a lot of work has gone into that and is coming along nicely, and I appreciate their work. A reminder for everyone out there that pre-K registration actually started on March the 1st. Parents should check the enrollment section of our website to find the date of the registration for the site closest to their location. And also remind you that kindergarten registration starts tomorrow, Wednesday, March 8th, from 1 to 6 at your school location. Our next board meeting will be Tuesday, April 4th at 6 p.m. And Mrs. Chair, this concludes my comments.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from board members?
I want to say something about our meal tonight that CTE students at East Carteret. It was amazing. We took a picture of it, just saying. It was yummy.
I'm not a picture taker of my meals.
I know, I don't normally do that either, but to see those students, excited about serving us as well, and, it's just really heartwarming to see them proud of the work. I'm hoping what you were just presenting will show even more of that.
You have any?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
With fear and trembling. I told you I was going to talk about tennis courts. We have 3 tennis courts at each of the 3 high schools, Croatan, East, and West Carteret. Are tennis courts important? Yes. Are they as important as the walls between buildings being constructed to ensure our students' safety? Are they as important as updating our heat and air conditioned filter systems to ensure our students' health? Are the tennis courts as important as providing classroom space where we're overcrowded? Are they as important as building a roadway to ensure that parents and students can enter and leave their schools safely? Our intent is to build 18 new tennis courts. Safety and classroom learning, though, are our pressing demands at this moment, and I make no apology for it.
Thank you, Dennis.
That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Okay. If that is it, our next regularly scheduled board meeting will take place Tuesday, April 4th at 6 p.m. This meeting will be broadcast live on our YouTube channel. I would like to ask for a motion to move to closed session for attorney-client communications.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session for attorney-client communications pursuant to GS 143-318-11A3.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Statler. Do I have a second?